Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another horror related movie review and today's is for The Babadook. So The Babadook is a 2014 Australian horror film directed by Jennifer Kent. I put off watching this film for so long purely because it was Australian and I thought I was going to hate it because I hate Australian movies so much. They're really painful to watch. But I didn't hate this one. I actually really enjoyed it. So if you want to hear my thoughts on The Babadook, then please keep watching. Alright, so it kind of sounds like it might be based on an Australian legend. The Babadook kind of sounds like Jabberwocky, other kind of Australian characters like that as well. But it's not. It's a completely original character, completely original story. Everything is filmed in Australia, completely original. Sorry if the frame has changed a little bit. I just ran out of memory space and I had to reset up everything, but let's continue. So like I said, I don't really like Australian movies. I find them really painful to watch, whether they're horror or not. Just the way that we speak and some things that we say, Australian slang, Australian words, just not a fan of it, and I feel really embarrassed when I watch them. It probably doesn't affect international audiences at all. They probably don't even notice, or might think it's cool, but for me, I find it so painful. Alright, basic plot line for this one is a mother and son live in a house, just plain old house in the Australian suburbs. The son has an overactive imagination. He obviously suffers from something similar to ADHD. He does appear to be quite a handful, and the mum works a lot in aged care. Basically, he starts thinking that a monster lives under his bed, like any other child would. He starts to build contraptions to fight them, and the mum doesn't believe it, finds him quite dangerous, doesn't believe him. Then one night she reads him a children's book and it's called The Babadook. It's quite a confronting children's story, and she starts to realise that perhaps something is going on and that her son isn't lying. The rest of the story after she reads the book is kind of a downward spiral in relationships, especially between the mother and the son, mental health, and just how consuming some things can be. It's quite confronting, it's quite intense the entire way through the movie, and I loved it. So The Babadook itself, I found it on Netflix. That's where I'm watching a lot of my horror movies. I don't want to go out and just buy them in case they are crap. Like, imagine if I had gone out and bought the Amityville Horror, I would have been very upset. I would probably be happy to go and buy The Babadook, but I'm very glad that I chose it from the Netflix list. And the film itself actually had a very limited release across Australia specifically. I think I read that it was in 13 cinemas, which I assume is nationwide and perhaps more worldwide. I would hope, because 13 cinemas is nothing. It does, however, sound familiar that perhaps my workplace got it, and the other cinemas in the chain might have got it for like a 1-week special release, perhaps at Halloween or something. We do that sometimes, but we definitely didn't have it as a standard release. So not many Australians, I don't believe, would have seen the movie on its release, which is interesting. So yeah, I'm very glad that it was on Netflix. Alright, so I was in perpetual suspense through this whole movie. I felt my heart rate like getting higher and higher through the whole movie, and staying that way. I was very invested in the mum and the son, and especially The Babadook. I love movies where they just kind of hint at the kind of demon or the actual horror character themselves, the villain, and you don't really get to see them full on. I find that often ruins things, especially like in the Conjuring films. Those bits always lose me. I'm probably like any other horror movies. I haven't watched that many. But that's one thing that I really enjoyed about this, were the characters. The mum, you can see that she's struggling to balance her life, work, and she seems quite depressed because of her work and her boss. It doesn't look like the best job to be in. and then having to come home and deal with her overactive son must be very stressful. So when she starts to kind of go downhill, that's pretty intense, and especially the son as well, whilst he is very annoying and overwhelming to watch. I imagine that that is what like many children are like in real life, and you really feel for those around them, especially like the sister and his cousin, and how it affects their family because of what the son is like. And as the Babadook starts to consume their entire life, I really felt for the characters and I really wanted to know what was going on, and especially the puppy. There's a puppy in it. I'm sure you can guess what happens. So the Babadook himself is a character within the children's book, and then given the actual story in the book, it does come out, and the cool thing is that you just kind of see it not actually as the Babadook itself, but there's a scene where they go to the police station, and the way that they show the Babadook in that setting is just really cool, and that's kind of how they do it through the entire movie, except towards the end. And he actually looks kind of friendly but yet creepy in the book itself. It looks very familiar, which I think makes it even more scary. Very black, very dark, nothing extremely like special, not much detail to it, but yeah, definitely very creepy. One thing as well is how they shot some of the Babadook scenes. Some of them are sped up, or like they've taken frames away, kind of like stop motion-y, like very sped up and blurry as well. Those scenes are really cool, especially there's a scene where the Babadook is in the mum's room towards the end. That's really cool. I think the only scene and probably the only part of this movie that I just really didn't like, and it's kind of nitty-gritty, is the Babadook basically consumes the mum, and that's, you know, that's in the story. The story tells the movie, tells the plot, and there's just something that's kind of in a lot of other horror movies, and it's nothing special, and I'm not really a fan of it. But yeah, that's just a tiny little bit. You'll probably know it when you see it. I'm sure a lot of people are over it, but it's probably something they felt that they should add in. Nothing extremely special, but yeah, that's probably my only problem with this entire movie, except for bits where there's Australian slang and they're like, "Do you want a cuppa?" I'm like, no, please don't say that. Please don't say that. So the film itself, the actual tone of the film is very dark, and it plays on themes such as family and loneliness, and just kind of the degradation of their relationships and their life because of something that has influenced them so strongly, given it's a children's book. So it is a very dark film. It doesn't have a lot of specific horror themes. It's a very real life film, very dark, and I think the themes and the characters that were created definitely make this a lot scarier. It is very intense, like I said, the whole way through, and I really wanted to know what happened, especially as both of them start falling apart. The boy is amazing. He's so intense, and I don't think if he played that as well as he did, then it definitely wouldn't carry through as well. So yeah, I only had one problem with this movie. I did still kind of find it cringeworthy with some of the Australian phrases. Sometimes listening to a deeper Australian accent as well, I just can't stand it. It kind of just reminds me of bogans. If you don't know what a bogan is in Australia, then Google it. It's very scary. But yeah, I really like this movie. I would probably highly recommend it to anyone else looking for a horror movie, especially this kind of small release Australian film. Yeah, so leave your comments down below. Let me know if you've seen it before. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you for my next movie review. Bye!